With all the hype surrounding the Modified Motor Tour in 2025 for one-up competition, it's an absolute shame we had to wait a whole month between the first race at Daytona and today. But the wait is over, the Modifieds are back, and we are ready to get you underway with race number 2 of the 2025 one-up Modified Motor Tour, and it is here at the South Boston Speedway. 0.4 miles of intense short track racing action. The Nitro National Series has been here before, but it's been a while for one-up since we were last here, and now the modified driver is getting ready to put on a show over the course of 50 laps here this evening. And alongside me to bring you all the action, 3-time one-up Superstar Series winner, as well as a winner in the Nitro National Series to go with that. Miles Mashburn joins me tonight. It is great to have you with us, and well, for the Modifieds, it was a pretty line-of-stern race that we saw last time out of Daytona, but I expect, now that we're at a proper racetrack with the higher banks than we saw at Daytona, I expect the action to pick up a little bit more.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and I think it's really great that we are going to a track like South Boston. This new series gives us a great opportunity to go to a bigger variety of these sort of local short tracks. And I've always loved the racing put on here. Not sure if it'll quite be as chaotic as you could expect from a track with banking due to how these cars run, but I think it's going to be a good show.
Absolutely, because it was a great show at Daytona. We had Ashton Blevins dominate that race, and he enters the race as the points leader, but he will not start this race from pole position. As we can now bring you the starting lineup for tonight's 50 laps. Luke Evans in the 93. He finished 14th back at Daytona, but he has put the 93 on pole position today, and he will lead us to green with Seth Bayless alongside. He finished 4th at Daytona. Christian Van Heerden, the Dutch driver, starts 3rd alongside Dallas Miller, and Andreas Andronico rounds out the top 5 with Blevins starting all the way down in P6. But it's going to be interesting to see what kind of strategy prevails here, because you're going to be going flat out from the green flag to the checkered flag. Ideally, you're going to want to be on the bottom, but once the leaders catch lap traffic, and I guarantee you that is going to be the case, that is going to happen here tonight, I expect that once that happens, wouldn't you agree with me, that the race will take on a whole different meaning once they get to the back of the field?
Yes, that's a massive factor at any short track race, especially in this series where you basically have to deal with that on a week-by-week basis for the schedule. So getting around that lap traffic is very important at this track.
Absolutely. It's gonna be fun to see these guys balance out between going flat out and managing the traffic. We're gonna see what happens in just a few moments' time. So with that being said, we've got 24 drivers ready to take the green flag. We're ready to bring you the action now. It's the one-up Modified Motor Tour from South Boston Speedway, and the green flag getting ready to get us underway. Stay tuned. Blink and you'll miss it. This is gonna go by pretty quick. These guys are gonna put on a blistering pace here tonight. 50 laps at South Boston Speedway, getting ready to get it underway. It is Evans and Bayless on the front row for South Boston. The Modifieds are underway, and it's a pretty even launch, but it looks as though Luke Evans on that inside line, with maybe a little help from the 98 of Van Heerden, is going to get the edge, especially once we complete the opening lap.
Yeah, and you might notice this is a short race. 50 laps might seem like a good amount, but you can already see how quick we've done one. So 50 laps, not a lot of time. They're going to have to make moves as quick as possible at this sort of close quarters racing, where you may have to be very aggressive to make a move.
And look at that, you can already see the 98 making a move, just like you said, on the 34 of Seth Bayless. Remember, Van Heerden in the 98, not as used to these tight short tracks as he is to the road courses that he's used to in his native land of the Netherlands, but he's doing a good job so far in this race. He's battling for second place with Seth Bayless, and if he can get himself clear at a 34 or even maybe slotted behind him, he'll have a great chance at a podium today.
And when a driver's able to have a good run at a track type that they're not really known for, that's always something to keep an eye on. So this is a driver that I would keep a close eye on. He's 12th in the standings after Daytona, and with only one race down, he's got a shot to move his way up the standings if he can continue this podium run he's got going on. He's working on second. He's not going to get it yet, but he's got some good pace.
And meanwhile, a little further back, we saw almost a bit of contact between Dallas Miller in the 83 and Andronico in the 99. These two battling for the 4th position. They started 4th and 5th. That's where they're running currently. And behind them, Nicolas Santiago in the 54 trying to do here what he couldn't do at Daytona, and that's pass his teammate Ashton Blevins. It looks like he's going to do it out of 4.
I want to keep an eye on the 13 car. It looks like he's already gained at least 4 spots here. We saw some cars able to move a lot of spots throughout the Daytona race, and it's happening again here, and that's something that is very crucial to getting a good result here.
So right now, Ashton Blevins in this 56 car is going to tuck in behind his teammate, and I think Santiago's got some unfinished business. He finished 2nd at Daytona. He finished behind his teammate, and I'm sure while that was a great result for the team, I'm sure Santiago wants to prove his worth, that he is also a driver worthy of contending for this championship. He started down in 9th position. He's already up in the top 5. So we're making our way now through 1 and 2 here. Santiago's doing a great job. Like I said, he's already gained 4 places on the opening 10 laps. You can see Seth Bayless by 1/1000th of a second. Both the fastest lap currently over Luke Evans. It's not anymore. Van Heerden in the 98 has just supplanted Seth Bayless with a 14:30, I believe that was. So the 98's putting in some good lap time. Let's see if he can put it to good use and chase down the 34 again.
Yeah, you can see these cars are fairly spread out, which is, I can't say that I expected that, but it's definitely giving them a good opportunity to go as all out as they can and go for that fastest lap. And then from that, you can really get a picture of who's got the, who's the best drivers in the field, who could we be looking at in the grand scheme of things for the top of this series standings.
And remember, this is only a 12-race season, so every race is meaningful. We already had 1, this is race 2, and we're going to have 10 more after this. This is going to be a hard-fought championship for all 12 races. But currently, it is Luke Evans who's led all 15 laps so far, and Seth Bayless behind him, and Van Heerden behind him. Van Heerden has the fastest lap currently. That is a bonus point, just like it is in the upper 3 series of one-up competition. So I'm sure Bayless and Evans would love to take it back away from the 98, but they're going to have to pick up the pace to do that, because I think Van Heerden's lap was at least a 10th faster than anyone else had ran so far.
Definitely a strong showing for Van Heerden. It's going to move him up the points if we can stay as we are. You can already see that we are over a quarter of the race. Is through, and every single lap counts with a race this short. They've got to gain spots as fast as they can, but we also are going to get closer and closer to that lap traffic, as you said, if there's no caution, and it looks like right now they're keeping it fairly clean. If we get to that lap traffic, that will be a huge factor as to whether Luke Evans can hold on to the race lead.
And so far, I believe the biggest mover of the day has been Damian Krastev in the 44. He started this race down in 13th. He's already gained 5 spots up to 8th. Great move from him. And right now, we're looking at his teammate, Chase James, the British driver, in the 49. He is trying to make his way up from his starting position of 15th. And he's right now hanging on to 11th place behind this battle between Colby Bogdansky and Joseph Luciani. This is the battle for 9th.
So we are already seeing some really good field movers here, drivers that are trying to make up for not the ideal qualifying position for them and getting where they need to be running. But the race this short, it may not be, you may not be able to get exactly where you deserve to be in the field, but this is what it's all about, is showing that you can outperform these other cars on the track and will your way around, especially in these kinds of cars where it's not easy to do.
Yeah, and it's not like you can just muscle your way past with a little door-to-door contact. These are not full-body stock cars. You can ramp off the top of another one of these cars very easily if you rub wheels the wrong way. So we make our way further back through the field. Luke Evans is about a quarter of a lap behind the back end of the field, and he's grown his lead to about 1.7 seconds over second-place Bayless. So as you can see, yeah, there's Evans coming out of turn 4 as the back end of the field's heading into turn 1. I fully expect that within the next perhaps 10 to 12 laps that 93 is going to be there.
Yeah, with this being an open wheel series, like you said, there's not as much room to make those contact and aggressive moves, and I think that it may help these drivers to keep it clean and just maneuver the car a little bit more cautiously, but still put in all the effort you can to make moves. And I think that is showing and helping these drivers learn. And we've already seen some very professional-looking performances from drivers that we've not seen here compete in one-up before.
And meanwhile, while we're looking at the fight for the lead, we're also looking at our winner from last time out at Daytona, Ashton Blevins. He started 6th. That's where he's actually lost a spot down to 7th, but that's still a very good run for the driver leading the championship, because it shows that runs like this is what you need when you're not having a dominant day like he had at Daytona. Runs like this, where you're getting those top 5, top 10 points. That's the kind of run you need to have if you're going to break a run at the title. And look at this hornet's nest we've got back here from 12th on back.
Yep, they're going to have to make sure that they can keep that huge group of cars behind them and that everyone can keep it in order. But yeah, consistency can be a big deal here, especially with such a short schedule, that if you finish, with a solid top 10, top 5 every single week, that you may be at the very top end of the standings if the people winning races end up also having some bad days. So starting 6th and running 6th is not, it may not sound ideal, but it could end up being good in the long term.
And when you consider that 11 out of these 12 races are on tracks under a mile, the one exception being the road course at Lime Rock Park, when you consider that, if you're good at this kind of racetrack, you're going to really excel here, because this is the vast majority of the schedule. I'm sure there are going to be some standouts at Lime Rock when we get there in the summer, but for the most part, if you're doing good this early in the season, I would expect you to do really good from here on out.
Yeah, and that's what's exciting about the new series, that you don't really have much of a clue of, you can make some estimates based on the existing team owners and such and drivers that moved down, but we don't have as big of an idea of who's going to be the top drivers and teams to watch in this series, and so it's fun to watch it piece together after these first 2 races, and as we get into this slew of short track races that are really what it's all about to master the series.
And looking at Luke Evans, he's grown his lead out to 1.8 seconds, but he's really close to the tail of the field. The problem for Seth Bayless, as he takes 2/10 out of Evans' lead, there's only about 14 laps to go, so you really can't afford to dawdle any longer, because Evans has now officially caught the tail end of the field. If you're Seth Bayless, you really need to start applying lap time right about here.
Well, I think it's very important what Luke Evans does here, because if that lap traffic holds them up too much, then even if Bayless is a little bit slower, he'll be able to catch up if that lap traffic's too much of a problem. But Evans put on very strong professional showing. I think he's going to be able to do the right thing here.
The one thing I'm noticing is that Seth Bayless is picking off about 1/10 of a second per lap, and that time he gained 2/10 on that lap. So Bayless is doing what he needs to do. The problem is, that's not going to be enough. He needs to gain 3/10 per lap, 4/10 per lap if he's going to catch and pass that 93. And he just lost a 10th that time as we take 10 to go. That's not what he needs.
That's the thing about a 50-lap short track race, where the laps are under 15 seconds, is that there's really no room at all for error, and every single 10th of a second counts. So even if he's gaining time, especially if he's losing time, and even if he's gaining time, with just a few laps left coming to 7 to go almost, it is a very big factor.
Yeah, but look at this.
Races.
Look at this. He gained half a second on that last lap. You might have noticed it while we were talking. Luke Evans has been forced high a couple of times by that 27 of Victor Reyes. So Evans has now got Seth Bayless all over his back bumper. He's cut another half second out of the lead, and now they're nose to tail with 7 to go.
That lap traffic is very close together. They're racing just as hard for position as these top 2 are now, and it's about to get really interesting. 5 laps to go, racing for your first career win here. With lap traffic in the way, Luke Evans has a lot of pressure on him now. He's looking like he's going to get around 1 lap car here, which is a big deal, because now the 34 has to do the same.
Yeah, and now there's even less laps, because we've just now taken 5 laps to go. And with Luke Evans passing Victor Reyes here, that'll put Reyes between the 93 and the 34. So Bayless is going to have to make the same moves, like you said, that Evans did. The problem is, once Bayless gets there, he's going to have a lot less laps.
4 to go, it really is just going to take a big hiccup now for the 93 to lose this race. He's got another lap car, but honestly, at this point, if the 34 doesn't hurry, this is looking like a win for Luke Evans here at South Boston. Still got 2.5 laps to go.
And honestly, whoever wins this race between the 93 and the 34, they will have deserved it. Evans for dominating the race as he has, and Bayless for putting on that charge late in the race. He came from 2 seconds back almost, to being right on the back of the 93, as we're coming to take the white flag right here.
Absolutely right. We're seeing drivers put down these professional showings that of consistency and speed that you need to race and one up in general, but especially to compete for this championship. And now Luke Evans will complete the final half of the lap, and he's going to lead every single lap to get the win at South Boston.
Absolutely phenomenal. Luke Evans, first career win in one-up competition, and he does it at South Boston Speedway. Like you said, led all 50 laps, and a virtuoso performance from him. Seth Bayless can't argue with a second-place finish after a fourth at Daytona. That's going to move to 34, up to the points lead after all this is said and done. So great stuff from him. Van Heerden completes the podium in third, a steady drive from him. Andronico and Santiago complete the top 5. With Ashton Blevins 7th, that's going to knock the 56 down to 3rd in the standings. Santiago's going to leapfrog him, and Seth Bayless is going to be on top of the pile as we leave South Boston. An excellent race, and I'm looking forward to the next one as well. We still got 10 more of these races to go. Next up, out at the fairgrounds in Nashville, home turf, so looking forward to seeing how these guys get on there as well.
Yeah, Fairgrounds is another great track. I think we just have an amazing schedule lined up here, and I think we've had 2 pretty solid first races so far. And of course, with a new series, there's plenty of room to tweak and make adjustments in the future and make things even better. But I like what I'm seeing from these first 2 races, and I think we're going to put on plenty more great modified races throughout the rest of this season.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to say so long from South Boston, but it was a really quick race. Blink and you miss it, like we said at the top of the show, but it was a well-run race from everyone involved. From Miles Mashburn and from myself as well, thanks for joining us for race number 2 in the One Up Modified Motor Tours history. We'll see you again next time out at the Nashville Fairgrounds in about another month's time. So these guys will have plenty of off time to rest up, relax, look forward to the Nashville Fairgrounds, and until then, so long from South Boston. Congrats to Luke Evans. He led all 50 laps tonight, and he is rewarded with his first career win in One Up Modified Motor Tour competition.